just certain sort of like boxes to check and making something that you love. We were there to kind of help create a home. There's something about this house that just has a vocabulary that's a little different than any other home in the area. It's not like it's super mid-century, it's not like it's super traditional. It's kind of straddling this cool vibe.
The house does have good bones, even though it had a family room that was shaped as a triangle, fountain and the tree stumps.
It was unique, an interesting house that was going to be neat to fix up.
Once we got things sort of in a direction, we early on like to build the team on all of our projects. And that means the landscape architect primarily, a contractor, and an interior designer.
We were invited to be involved in some of the early design meetings when things were really not quite established. It was a great opportunity for our team to be able to bring materials in and sort of show clients fabrics and different options and textures and woods and stone.
So these two things were constantly growing together in a parallel path. You're really being able to be inspired by maybe something that Sarah's doing that might inspire the client to tell us. You know, we're all kind of working on the same path at the same time period.
As far as furniture and design choices, we came from a very traditional home. I said to Chris, if we're going to move, since it's more of a contemporary modern home, I'd like the furnishings to reflect that.
Chris really has a tendency to love more of a traditional aesthetic. So he brought a lot of inspiration with furniture pieces with rolled arms and things that leaned a lot more traditional.
When you start to use words like modern, it can be really off-putting to certain people because they have certain connotations. When Chris started,
we're so back. Okay, so plan for today. We have one award submittal we need to kind of wrap up here, and then we have to edit a lot of social media content for this project in particular. So like this project wrapped up big video wise. Now we just have awards to submit to, and we have all of our photos that we have to kind of pull from this. Because like the thing with these like award submittals is they require you to still submit photo. Even if you're submitting for like a architecture video award, they still are like, hey, you should have photography to go along with this, which I think is dumb. I'm like, if it's video, it should be about the video. But last time I checked, their website was down, and I think their website is still down. Architizer. Yeah, the Architizer award submittal website is rip right now. Yeah, it won't even. Oh, maybe they have 16 days to fix it. But we will come back to that later. So we have a lot of like smaller videos we have to kind of piece together with this. Which means we have to find a lot of music. We have to find a lot of tracks to kind of pair with this. It's like right now we have...
I have a passion for sports cars, always have, and have been...
Our voiceover ones. first and foremost. So these are basically what we're doing is we're ripping this from the actual finished video itself. This has like the music. It's pretty much just like turning a full video into a trailer. And so instead of having a horizontal, like we now have this like vertically cropped video that's like ready to go for social media.
Outside of the city a long ways to find a site. So when this particular property came up, which sits...
So really seeing the course, but also sort of being seen. Some of our project was the right.
And I think this intro is maybe a good one to yoink. Like, just dump all of this stuff.
Ryan and I said, we want...
I think with like
Both
social
Ryan-
media is like kind of have to tailor it for like social content. So the biggest thing with that is it's kind of got to be a little bit snappier and quicker. So like we have to jump to this pretty
both Ryan
much
and
off
I
the
said
rip.
over and over again to our team, let's build something special.
Right, like that has to be in the first second. He has to like jump in and start talking about that. So like, I don't even know if we want to keep this. I don't think that's the best opening shot. I don't even think this is a great opening shot for us, because like you don't get a clear idea of like the whole home. But we know where we need to jump in. Then it goes back to video trailer. I think this is the good kind of like pitch for somebody who hasn't seen this project before, who somebody hasn't seen the video before. Like, how do you get them interested in it? And I think we kind of do that through having really enticing social media content. And it's kind of ultimately why we do it. It's why I think like if you're going to do a full video like this, like you kind of want to have that social media aspect paired with it, because no one's just going to click onto like a full 5-6 minute video and like sit through it. Especially with like where most architects are at is like I think their primary way of communicating is through Instagram in terms of just like publicly. Like they don't really have YouTube content. And so like if you have a full video that you put out, like most people are gonna find out about it through Instagram, but nobody's on Instagram is really willing to kind of click into like a longer 5-6 minute video. And so you have to like entice them with stuff like this, like a trailer, to kind of pitch them like, hey,
Both Ryan and I said over and over again to our team,
you know, this is an interesting project, this is a cool project, you should check it out. And so that's why we usually always try to have, you know, we're doing a full video like this, like, hey, if you're going to invest the time, money, and energy into making like a bigger video, let's invest the same amount of energy into marketing it so that people actually see the video. So I think that's like the rule of thumb, is like someone in like the marketing world told me, when like if it's like 1-to-1, like whatever money you spent investing in the actual like video or photography or what have you, like that's the equal amount of money you should be investing in the marketing of said project. Which I don't think a lot of architects are quite at that space yet to do that. I think the actual getting the thing is the big thing, and then the like marketing is kind of the cherry on top. But that's what I'm trying to do. What like I'm doing now is like, hey, if I can grow like a, you know, architecturally focused social media following, then like hiring me is almost twofold, right? Like you get the actual video shoot, but then you also get like the marketing side of stuff. That's like, oh, it's straight. That's a cool shot, but I don't know. I think maybe it's the, I know what I'm looking for. I think it's the pool shot that we want. Let's reuse it. Let's reuse it. We can yoink. I think this is a better. Yeah, because I want to get because the cantilever is the dramatic part, right? And so I want people to be able to see that like right off rip.
Both Ryan and I said over and over again to our team, let's build something special.
I think that's better.
We did not want ordinary. We wanted something that was extraordinary.
Right, again, social media, so we kind of have to be a little bit snappier here with the edit. Like our cuts are going to be naturally faster. Give me a dramatic shot there. Yeah, I like these two as the ending. We have to dump that, dump that.
It was the right.
I want a really dramatic drone shot here. Master. It's nice. I think we gotta show the fireplace side. Or the Ferraris, right? Like as much as I don't want to lean on them as a crutch, I think there also are like a pretty good selling point for people to like click and stay on the video. Alright, like if we go back to what we did here. So maybe we do like a setup payoff. But it's like such a dramatic part of the music. Right, so here.
Thing that was extraordinary.
Like you want that to be like one dramatic drone shot is kind of what that is telling you. Maybe we go living room. Maybe we go living room. We go living room and maybe we kind of like do like a slow zoom out.
It was the right site, the right client, and the stars. Sort of.
We don't want to cut away to these people too much, right? It's for social media. Yeah, it's nice to have that connection, but at the same time, it's just like the architecture needs to kind of sing and be forefront here.
It was the right.
Comes in at a weird time. Needs to come in a little bit earlier. Yeah.
It was the right site, the right client, and the stars.
Can lay it up just a little bit longer.
The stars sort of aligned that it was, you know, our our chance to sort of execute a really architecturally
Okay. That we got that. I want to show car salon. Let's rip that. Ugh. This is the struggle of everything being vertical, is like we're losing so much information because we have to crop for Instagram.
architecturally significant.
I think this is a great shot if it's, you know, tiny, tiny, tiny. And I don't want to keep showing this backside. Like, I think I do want to wrap around. Maybe we do an interior shot. Let's see what do we got interior wise. It's easier for us to look at it through this. Living room's kind of covered. Maybe a person.
Be tricky.
But he's talking about architectural significance, and so like, what's a good shot that kind of gets that idea across?
Preconceived notions
Like
of what will
backing
make
out of the bedroom, maybe. Bathroom's tough because it doesn't translate vertically super well. I like those louvers.
The path that captures.
We got the drone catalog here. It's kind of the beauty of like, I think spend so much time on site is like, that could be spicy. Like, we get to spend so much time on site, which means we get a lot of content, which means like when we run into situations like this where we're like, hey, we're looking for a very specific shot that kind of has this feel and look to it, we have like a pretty robust catalog to pull from. And then that also allows us to like, but not everything makes it into like the final cuts for all this stuff. So when we eventually revisit this project, because this project's going to stay with us for like 5 years easy, we kind of get to revisit it in the sense of like, hey, let's put like a new coat of paint on it, new music, new edit, let's put that together. And oh, that could be, actually, I like that. And then we have all this like footage that hasn't seen the light of day yet. Right, like this shot in particular, this has never been in like any of the videos I've made. So that allows this video to be a little bit different, a little bit more exciting. Do most people not realize that stuff? Probably. And I think that's fine, but I do also think like getting a different perspective on stuff, even subconsciously, if you've seen it before, like you're more interested because you're like, oh, that's different. That's a new angle I haven't seen before. Instead of like, you know, if you look up photos of the Barcelona pavilion or the like Falling Waters by Frank Lloyd Wright, like these, a lot of these iconic pieces of architecture have the photo of it, the right angle, the perfect lighting, and like the spot with the, you know, it's iconic. Like whenever you say like that piece of architecture, like you have a very specific photo in mind. Milwaukee Art Museum kind of falls in that boat as well. But these, when you go there in real life, you have a much different experience because you're moving around the space, you know, in some conditions, like you're actually like moving through the actual like pavilion or the architecture. And so you get a much different perspective of it. And it almost like kind of taints it in a way. Like I think when you have, like for us, the angle of this home, I think is this, right? Like you get, it's the perfect shot because you get the golf course in the background. We're getting the landscaping. We have the pool with the waterfall element. we have like the cantilevers featured really prevalent, like the warm interior glow. I was like, yeah, this is super great. But then the house is much more than this. Like, you can't even stand anywhere and get this perspective. Like, this is like a drone 20 feet off the ground to be here. And so like that's kind of what we're trying to do with the video, is like give an actual true experience of all these different elements and spaces and conditions, because like the piece of architecture is more than just this singular moment. It has this like entry experience that you can feel, and like when you come in, like you can kind of see, you know, it's so subtle, like most people again probably won't tell, but like this is a window system, and so you're having these materials kind of bleed from interior to exterior, and that creates like a specific feeling when you're moving through it. And then like being able to like give them like super wide context, and then, you know, how does that connect to the interior? Oh, like there's the living room with the golf course in the background. I'm just babbling about this stuff, but it's like, you know, this is why I do what I do. It's just like there's an experience with like each one of these homes and places, and like whether we're adding in people, whether we're like slightly keeping a door ajar, which is super intentional, by the way. A lot of time was spent on whether or not we should keep it open. We ended up just shooting both ways. I like it open. But it's all to just like create this like feeling and experience. Like, yeah, this is like, if you take a photo of this, it's just like, why would I want a photo of just like a random little breakfast thingy? But then you start putting it in like context of like, oh, like the bedroom, and like there's a little, it's like it has experience, and then it kind of ties these three shots together, and it's that this kind of is like a mood, this little cozy feeling with the side table and the lamp or in the branch.
As an architect, we have
It's more than just these wide shots. Like you gotta have these interchangeable these like interspersed detail moments in order to like keep that feeling. That's like arguably my biggest pet peeve with like real estate, is everything's just wide. Everything's is like super wide angle as far as you can get, and there's no like dialing in on like an individual moment. No idea where I was going with that. Oh, this all ties back to just like
architecturally significant response to a house, to what a home can be.
This is kind of like tying. So we have a shot like this that we haven't shown before. I think it just helps add to the like experience.
Execute a really architecturally significant response to a house, to what a home can be.
Boom. And that is our trailer. Watch it back.
Both Ryan and I said over and over again to
Little bleeding. Adjustment there. So what happens whenever we like stream these clips? It's like we do something, because we want to make sure our verticals are vertical. Like specifically in architecture, that's like such a big sticking point. So we have to go through, and like you can see this, like the grid is slightly ajar. It's because like we want everything that's vertical to be vertical, horizontal to be horizontal, perfectly straight. But when you do that, you start to get moments like this, where like this is the end of the clip and this is the clip behind it, and so just have to make sure we had a little adjustment layer over the top of it, so that everything is cropped in very nice, and we don't have any of that bleeding.
I said over and over again to our team, let's build something special. We did not want ordinary. We wanted something that was
like this. I'm not super wowed. IMO. I think we do that staircase shot. It's at the end here. Not that one. Straight on. I think it's okay, but it's like I don't think I don't know. I try to.
Wanted something that was extraordinary.
I think it's okay. We're shifting time of day.
It was the right site, the right client, and the stars sort of aligned that it was, you know, our chance to sort of execute a really architecturally significant response.
It has to
a
be
house,
color graded
to
still.
What a home can be.
I think that's good. Did we just wrap up these shots? I think so. Turn off the gallery. And that's there. Yeah. This one. Proxy so I can see like what I'm actually doing, because like everything gets proxy. Even though I have like a pretty robust computer, I can do a lot of the work, but even when we're just editing for just like I think speed's sake for the most part, like when you start getting into an edit and you're starting to get bogged down by frames dropping, you can't play back things, like when you hit the spacebar to play, it doesn't play right away, like that really messes me up and kind of gets me out of like the flow of editing. And so I always tend to just proxy everything so that that experience is like as smooth and as seamless as possible, so that we can just cook. And then once we get to the actual like color grading of stuff and having to like dial in all the color like we're doing now, then we can turn it off and then, you know, play around with it. But like for the most part, like you don't need to be editing in full resolution, because it's like are the, you know, 5 extra pixels really gonna make or break whether or not you use that shot and put that story together? I personally don't think so. Oh, here we go. And like with this, you know, we don't want it, just like the drone tends to make things feel like too, like the orange, it feels too orange on the interior here, and that kind of ends up feeling a little bit tacky. And so we tend to just grab that when we have these kind of twilight shots and just drop that color saturation. I'd be pretty okay with that. Social media, it doesn't matter. Well, it's like, I think, you know, the culmination of all these things that you see and experience on somebody's profile page, I think starts to form an opinion about what the quality of their work you think, like what you think about them. And I think if you can have a consistently high quality content that you put out there, like just show like in content, but just like in how you showcase your work, if that is consistently of like high quality, I think that starts to form the right opinion that you want from these people. Especially when you're doing homes like this, like you want these people to have confidence in your ability to pull something like this off. And I think if you have like super shoddy photos, super shoddy video showcasing it, I think it kind of, personally, I think it kind of shakes that confidence a little bit. And it's like, I don't know, like part of it, I think I realize it's, you know, that's, as someone who does this for a living, I'm very cognizant about it. But like, even when I'm looking for like architecture, like we're looking at, you know, we may have the possibility of a shoot in Colorado. So we're looking like, hey, if we're going to be there, are there other architects or designers that we can like work with? And so like the first thing we're doing is we're looking at their website and like, okay, like caliber of their work, is it good? How they want to represent their work, is that good? If it looks like they're just there with their own iPhone taking photos, like we pretty much we avoid it. We're like, not worth it, because like they don't care about how their work is represented. Work, is that good? If it looks like they're just there with dog is eeping. Uh, figure out what's the next section we have them do. There's usually a good
Seeing
handful
out
of
and being seen can be tricky because there's some areas of the home that you don't always want to be seen in.
There's different ways that we can sort of organize a project. On the course a lot, they have a lot of friends and social connections.
I had been thinking that building would really
A lot of friends sort of organize a project on a site. Some of our projects, more conventional, would be what we'd call a singular mass, axial, or a pod strategy. On this project here at Hidden Lakes, we engaged with something that we started calling the float.
Having topography on a site adds to the interest of the project. When the topography dips down, you have an opportunity to maybe extend part of the home.
It's almost as though Eric designed the home to build into the trees.
The challenge of seeing out and being seen can be tricky because there's some areas of the home that you don't always want to be seen in.
The home is designed with a public to private gradient as we move from the golf course to the east all the way to the primary suite to the west.
Working through solutions is something that you just do as a
because I like what they talk about of like seen and being seen. So I like this section.
They're on the course a lot. They have a lot of friends and social connections with people on the course. So really it was a lot about seeing the course, but also sort of being seen.
And then Dana can kind of jump in.
seeing out and being seen can be tricky because there's some areas.
I think that works. Rather just bring this guy up. Dump that. I think just dump all this.
They're on the course a lot. They have a lot of friends and social connections with people on the course. So really it was a lot about seeing the course, but also sort of being seen.
The challenge of
Okay. So now we just need to pair our shots to kind of match that energy. Like, while these shots are nice, I don't think they're kind of like when he's talking about like seeing the course and also being seen, and we're not kind of seeing that connection visually, I think there's just a bit of a disconnect. Where's our top-down shot actually? I think this works super well. So, scene. And then the beauty with top-down shots is we get to rotate them. Oh, look at that. And it fills up the whole screen, and it's like, looks like it's built for it.
They're on the course a lot. They have a lot of friends and social connections with people on the course. So really it was a lot of...
So now we need a shot that's kind of like coming in. Change it. Golf course in shot, like this one is good
First,
because we get the connection from the interior to the golf course. So we pull you back in, but you don't come in quite yet. Golf course in shots do we have here? That's okay. Cozy fire moment. A good shot. Why haven't I used this yet? Garbage can. Pink base. Just a couple things that I'm not super enthralled with. A lot of good shots. Go me. Too zoomed. Nope. Okay. C70 stuff of the exterior. Car salon, primary bath, the exterior car side. Details. The problem with this is like there was no like end hole flag, like, you know, like golf course when you're like the tee flag. It was like the tee off spot, so there wasn't like that iconic flag for us to put in the foreground for us to tie. Like you really only get an idea of the fact that you're on a golf course if we had someone swinging a club, which we didn't get, or like that top-down aerial view. Like we have like so much context, you can actually see like the sand pits and everything. You get the idea. But maybe we don't need that. Maybe the fact that we have this first shot kind of giving us context about the golf course, and then we can have another shot that's kind of like coming over the top. Shots are nice, maybe. It's kind of... I like it. I think I know what it needs to be though. copy that, and
on the course. So really it was a lot about on the course and social connections with people on the course. So really it was a lot about seeing the people on the course. So really it was a lot about seeing the course, but also sort of being seen.
The challenge of seeing out and being seen
I'll draw that out as long as possible.
The challenge of seeing out and being seen can be tricky because there's some areas of the home that you don't always want to be seen in.
The home is designed with a public to private gradient as we move from the golf course to the east all the way.
And bedroom. Maybe dump the details. And the rest of it I don't think we need. It's like what software do you use for rendering? Oh, this is filmmaking competition and architecture video.
on the
Yeah,
course a lot.
so I mean, I know a lot of architects use SketchUp as like their 3D software creation, and then they do Enscape for their kind of like rendering software.
But also sort of being seen.
The challenge of seeing out and being seen can be tricky because there's some areas of the home that you don't always want to be seen in.
The home is designed with a public to private gradient as we move from the golf course to the east all the way to the.
Got you. Yeah, I was like, I spent a good amount of time in like the architecture industry before kind of pivoting to the architecture filmmaking side of things. So
Public to private gradient as we move from the.
I don't think a
golf
ton
course
has
to the east
changed,
all the
but
way
I
to
do
the
know,
primary
I think a good chunk of stuff about the
gradient
industry.
as we move from the golf course to the east all the way to the primary suite to the west.
This shot.
Suite to the west.
Cut it there. What's our ending shot? I think we stay interiors. I think there's a lot of like architecture stuff that we've shown. But I think it's okay to stay on the interiors for a bit. Maybe we show the bathroom. I don't know. The bathroom's tough because it doesn't show vertical really well. Like you have no idea that this is a bath. Like you need the vanity or the shower in frame for it to be kind of like apparent it's a bathroom. I like what you're doing. It's so creative. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're putting together the kind of social media edits for this film, and then we have a submission going for Architizer with this. that we still have to submit for. Their website's currently down. I think it's working now. So once we finish, yeah, okay. Yeah, so once we finish this edit, we're gonna go and finish our submission, because we got like we like put the bare bones minimum in to just make sure we got it like technically submitted, but that we can go back and do all like edit it after the fact. The biggest thing is the price raised like after we submitted it, so we wanted to get it in before it raises. And like the award submission stuff's kind of expensive, like, you know, for like larger architecture firms, I'm sure it's like kind of a nothing burger, but then like for like smaller ones like me, I'm just like, what is like 250 a pop to submit? And I'm like, that's not cheap, you know, that's not nothing. But then it's like a you know, tough, because you also have massive firms also submitting to this, and so you have to be able to make sure that you're getting a good amount of money from them as well. So I kind of get it,
You need to have,
but it's just rough, because like I'd love to submit for like multiple projects and multiple awards, but it's just not feasible. Needs to be a daytime shot. Maybe we end with this. No, that sucks.
They're on public.
We're trying to find just a good, nice ending shot, and I just can't put my finger on what it should be. Maybe it's just that. Just go outside again. Yeah, I think that's good. Give us like a nice little position. Think. And cut it. Okay. All right, so we're gonna park everything there. Architizer award does seem like it's back up for our submission. I don't want to completely dox myself. Please hold. Just me. Just me. Okay, I'm just making sure that I'm not gonna like completely like dox myself with this photo edit. I think it could be one of the exterior takes. Yeah, I think that's what we ended up settling on, is having like a nice little exterior moment at the end. Okay. So this is our write-up for everything. So what's tough about this is like I think they're the collaborator. I don't think they're Lucid Architecture. So architect. Remove the client. So like the thing with like architizer stuff specifically is they're geared toward architects, not photographers, not filmmakers. So a lot of the stuff we kind of have to read between the lines, like collaborator, client. I'm like, technically, the architect for this film was the client, but I think they're meaning collaborators. Yeah, so see, like other people who like worked on the project. So like if you're an architect submitting this, you would submit like interior design, landscape architecture, contractor. But in our case, and like the client would be like a Mercedes-Benz new headquarters, so something like that. In this case, collaborator, it would be Lucid Architects, because we want them to be like name mentioned in this. It's good for everybody, and we just leave out the client, I think. And the project description's tough because, like, yeah, we can talk about the architecture, but like if like we're submitting, so the category we're submitting for is photo video, like architecture, photo, video. Unfortunately, they hodgepodge both of those into one thing, so that sucks. But when you're doing like a project description, you know, like, do you talk about the video experience? Do you talk about the architecture? Do you try to talk about both? And so I kind of landed on, you kind of want a little bit of both. Like, you want to give context to the actual home, but then you also kind of want to talk about why, you know, specifically video, like why did we do video here and what value does that add? So like set on a sloping wooded site adjacent to a private golf course, the client's goal for this home was to both see and be seen. At its core, this home embraces the client's hobbies of cars, golf, and architectural experience. The film was created to showcase the story of how and why the architecture came to be. By leveraging movement, music, and careful sound design, we give the viewer an experience just shy of being on site. I think that's pretty good. I think that's spicy. Like, I don't think we need to overstate what we're doing here. Like, checking that again. Okay. I like that. Save it. Project entry. So we have, I need to change the video because we had messed up, like there was like some small quality things we needed to kind of clean up from it. And so I don't think it got compressed. It did not. So we're gonna have to recompress this dude. Because it's like, again, like what, like this is very tailored towards like architects and everything, and like photo I think by second, and like the video is a very much like a third afterthought. So compressed real one this time. And so they're like, hey, 2 gigabytes max for an upload. And so like we have to go in and make sure that our video, because like our video, when we export it 4K 30 FPS, like that's 4 or 5 gigabytes. And so we have to go in and make sure that we can, you know, because we want to be able to tailor our compression. Like, we don't want like to have a program like auto compress it and then they end up destroying it because they're just trying to compress it as much as possible. So we move all of this to archive. This goes into archive. Then we have our files. So that, and then we have to submit photos. Maybe. There? Yes, upload my images now. So we have our whole folder here, view, extra large icons. one thing I didn't the time before, I submitted for an Architizer award like 2 years ago, and the cover photo was awful. I like, surprised, I didn't read the fact that they were going to use the first image I have as the cover photo. So the first image that I submitted was absolute garbage. Not garbage, but it wasn't the best shot of the project. Then they used it as a cover photo, and I'm like, crap, I messed up here. So now we are much more careful. Can we submit multiple? Nope. Oh, I think this is our cover photo, actually. Right? Like, this is our cover photo as opposed to this one. It's kind of spicy, though. Like, the nighttime with the... like, the sunset behind. Let's reorganize these. See fit? No. Yeah, well, we'll upload it and we'll just change our feature image. We want to come back to it. Dang, I do think we need more, though. Not more, just different. Like, I think most of these are kind of like the same shot of the same thing, and a lot of them are in twilight. Just, there's nothing wrong with that, but like, if we want to give enough variety. I think we throw a couple more in here. Right, like it's exterior poolside, interior cantilever. That's the car space, and then like the only other ones we have is exterior poolside, and that's a nice interior of the car one. I like that. Let's throw that one in there. One, two, 4, 5. I mean, how much do I want to add? Because like Architizer 22. This is my shameless plug of the day. Brand lab color community. Photo video. That's us. Upwards. More. So 1, 2. So I'm looking at like photos. I guess this is okay. I don't know. I think this one would have been better though for our cover page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which just includes the thing. So maybe we throw one more in there. What do we want it to be though? Okay. So let's, yes. So, but we need to rename it because they yoinked the name. I don't want to use the hidden likes compressed real one this time. Okay. And by us controlling compression, this shouldn't be like grotesque. It's okay. But, like, you can definitely tell that there's a major dip in quality. But that's what they want. So I mean 500 megs. I'd rather kind of compress this less. Actually. Because if I can get it at that 2 gigabyte mark, I think that's where you want to be, as opposed to. like super under, because I still like, I think the quality of it matters, right? I think you see it as like really good visually put together. That helps us. But now we need to, really having a hard time. Guess so. We can't do exterior. We have enough of those. Maybe a little door moment? Like, what's our final photo? Because, like, right now, we have car salon interior daytime, car salon exterior nighttime, daytime cantilevered space, nighttime poolside. So, like, we have 1, 2, 3 exterior, 2 interior. I think we want to throw another interior one in there, and I think it needs to be of a different space that we haven't shown yet. The front door moment's kind of nice. If not that, I think the only other one I had in mind was this. Maybe. But this wall's just so blank. I don't know what we do. Is that the moment, or is there something else we want to put in here? Bathroom's nice, but I don't think, like, I don't think this wins it. Right? Like, we want to be able to show, like, the best of the best of the best stuff that we're doing. So it's got to be a space we haven't shown yet. I think the front door is a moment. I think we have to. I think it's the front door. I think that gives us a good variety. Dun, 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 dun. This. Action right there. Feels good. Then unproxy it. Grab still. Gallery. Export. Get in. Front. Sure. Export. Okay. That one. Right. That's a pretty good variety. And then, this is tough. I think we dump this. I think the feature image should be this one. Right? I think that's just stronger. Why does that feel like overly saturated? Because it is. Grab still. Is it? Dump. Links. Feature. Right? This feels like a very different image. Oh, yeah, that's so much better. Okay, yeah. Like, gross, oversaturated, very nice, very demure. Yeah, that's what we want as our feature. I think that's strong. Right? Feature image. Yeah. We have image one. Stare moment. 2. Right? I feel like this could use a little bit of warmth to it. Image 3. Car salon, bit of a fire. Into the car salon, image 4. And then front door, image 5. That feels like a strong submission. And then we also have our test video, which we can compress even less, honestly. Because like our upload limit is like 2 gigabytes. So because I'm having it down res to 1080, which I would like to avoid. This look like exist, write it. Okay, while that's going, I think that's it, right? We don't need photographer credit because we are the photographer. No competition boards, collage image, multi-image spreads, image files types allowed, 30 megabytes max, uploading videos optional. What did we say for... I'll go back to this. Like, this one was such an easy home run just because of like the story behind that. The Pop Quartz project is so good. Yeah, we just kind of talked about it from like a perspective. Okay, so then if that's the case, what, because like the rest of these are just photo. Like the winners almost every single year are just photography. How does she talk about this? Good lord, she's got 2 paragraphs. This woman wins, I kid you not, every single year. And she's really good at what she does. She doesn't even talk about the photography at all. She just talks about the home. Save this. Save it before I lose it. Save. Curious what this compression is going to look like. I want to get the compression right because like I think like if the video is makes a strong impact, like a strong first impression, I think that's going to be in our best interest. So you want to so like we want to get as close to this like 2 gigabytes as possible.
Chance to sort of execute a really architecturally significant response to a house, to what a home can be. They have a lot of friends and be engaged with.
It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Float.
We have these preconceived.
We noted.
And have been successful.
The thing I think is working against us with this is that it's a private residence. Like I I don't know. People tend to be a little bit against that with these like larger award competitions, in my personal opinion. It feels like the kind of public community spaces that, like, rightfully so, I have a really good story, are like such a home run, easy kind of walk in. But the ones that are like more private, more residential, have like a little bit more of like an intimate, less large, sweeping, impactful story, don't tend to do too great. But like, I don't know, like this project I think is like one of our strongest ones this year. Even like the video formats, like stuff is like project fly through, no sound with music only, project fly through, voiceover. Like we're not doing a fly through interview. We're not doing like it's not like a sit down interview, diagram animation, no, construction time lapse, also no. Like it's a hodgepodge of like all that stuff, and it's, I don't know. Continue processing. Okay. Double check feature image. That's one we like. Interior cantilever, car salon interior, front door. I like that. I think that's our strongest. I don't think we go overboard with the images. I think the video is where we're swinging. Feels good. Good. Okay. Done. Yay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that everything's good. Firm size 1 to 10. Yeah, everything is good. Sweet. We are submitted for an award. All right, we will be right back.
What was here needed a little work, and ultimately more work than we anticipated. But on the drawing board it looks simple, but it was a lengthy process.
Finding a home on the golf course that's the right size is one thing, but there's a lot to fill in between just certain sort of like boxes to check and making something that you love. We were there to kind of help create a home. There's something about this house that just has a vocabulary that's a little different than any other home in the area. It's not like it's super mid-century, it's not like it's super traditional. It's kind of straddling this cool vibe.
The house does have good bones, even though it had a family room that was shaped as a triangle, fountain and the tree stumps.
It was unique. Interesting house that was going to be neat to fix up.
Once we got things sort of in a direction, we early on like to build the team on all of our projects. And that means the landscape architect primarily, a contractor, and an interior designer.
We were invited to be involved in some of the early design meetings when things were really not quite established. It was a great opportunity for our team to be able to bring materials in and sort of show clients fabrics and different options and textures and woods and stone.
So these two things were constantly growing together in a parallel path. You're really being able to be inspired by maybe something that Sarah's doing that might inspire the client to tell us. We're all kind of working on the same path at the same time period.
As far as furniture and design choices, we came from a very traditional home. I said to Chris, if we're going to move, since it's more of a contemporary modern home, I'd like the furnishings to reflect that.
Chris really has a tendency to love more of a traditional aesthetic. So he brought a lot of inspiration with furniture pieces with rolled arms and things that leaned a lot more traditional.
When you start to use words like modern, it can be really off-putting to certain people because they have certain connotations. When Chris started to see that we weren't taking this to some level that was foreign to him, it was just sort of like a little edited, but it still had shadows.
All right. We are back. So we submitted for our Architizer Award. I probably add a little text thing. Notating that. Text. New. Submitted for archetype. Right, put this like right there. Yeah, that's good. So we submitted for our Architizer Award. It was like this project actually that we're editing. Kind of related, kind of not. It's one of the more. It's an exciting project. I would love to submit more for work, but like the entry fees for a lot of these award submittals are pretty steep, so we kind of have to be like hyper selective in terms of like what we end up choosing to submit. And it's also like kind of fell off the bandwagon for a couple years, right? They have 2022, we submitted for a lot of awards. That was a hefty price tag to it, and then we're like, let's take a chill pill for a little bit. And then I realized my email signature looks like I'm washed of like last time I won an award was 2-3 years ago. So we submitted for some last year. We're submitting again this year. I would submit way more of my projects. And then there's another one that we're going to do called the Telly Award, which is a video specific award, but that's coming up a little bit later, so we don't have to do a ton of lifting right now. Gotta get something up and running here really quick. That's a little much. Drum and bass kind of been the go-to. I gotta find a new like chunk of music to listen to, because right now it's like Skyrim or like hyper drum and bass, and there's nothing in between. Did that. Okay. So now we need to work on the social media aspect of things. So when a client kind of brings us out to shoot like a full video, like something like this, it's oftentimes in their best interest to have social media video components as well attached to it, because for architects and designers in this industry, your primary way of interfacing with the public is most likely Instagram. Like, your website's a little bit secondary, but the first thing that most people are gonna interact with you on is Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? Some form of like social media. And so the unfortunate attention span for these social media platforms is incredibly short. So you can't just put your entire, you can put the whole video out there, and that's super cool, but it's not going to perform super well. And so you have to have social media specific edits of said video that we're looking at right now, in order to one, I think the big goal is trying to like bring more people to see that full video, but then two is this is also a way of like marketing your work in a more smaller and digestible way. So how we've been kind of like, how we approach it is we kind of break it into 2 to 3 categories depending on where the architect is at in terms of like their branding and social strategy. So the 2 main categories we're doing is voiceovers. So what we're doing is we're taking chunks of the video that we think are really strong. So one of these is the Ferrari aspect, right? I think that one's such a home run. So
For sports cars, always have, and have.
so it's John talking about his hobbies and interests, and then it's Eric kind of going into how they design the car salon, right? And that's one video. It's focused, it's dialed in, we're not trying to jump around to different subjects. Like it's just about Ferraris, and we try to keep these under a minute. Sometimes they go longer, sometimes they go shorter, but that's okay. And so we're just trying to find the most interesting voiceovers, pluck that out, add the supporting footage to make it interesting, and then kind of like have a good strong ending, or it's good strong intro, good strong ending, and we're good. The second category we'll go into is just music. So we'll pull a handful of shots from, let's say, like nighttime is probably going to be one of them. So we'll just do all the nighttime twilight shots, and that'll be one video. We'll just do all the exterior shots, and that's another video. We'll probably do one on just a car salon. That's another video. And so it's just music, it's just footage, and we put that together and call it a day. And then the third one, this is where it's more dependent on where the architecture firm is at in their own branding and social media strategy, is trends. So there are some, and we can probably pull up probably Spotify is probably a better place for this. So there are some songs that are kind of trending right now that are just find like a playlist here. Photo edit. Popular trending. Get it. Viral hits. Dude, am I out of touch? I don't know like any of these songs. Okay, so like this. Right, that song. Is like a trending song, is popular, is very like in the moment. And so what we can do is we can like take one of those songs. Shoot, that actually might be a really good song to do for the Ferrari one. Hold on, I'm gonna download that one really quick. So what we do is we're gonna take that song, we're gonna make a really fast-paced, fun, energetic edit to it. And it's a little more, it's much less evergreen because it's the music is going to date it. The music that we're using is popular right now in this moment. In 2 months time it won't be, but these have the upside of potentially getting more views because of the song that it uses and because it's much quicker. Brain rot edit type stuff, like the faster it is, people's attention spans are tiny, the faster we can make the edit, the better. And so, and that's the one that's always has like an asterisk to it, because some clients like really don't want to do that. And that's where we only do like a handful of those videos are going to be like that, as opposed to a bunch of them. Like that. Like, can we cook this up really quick? I don't want to. 010 big dogs. That'll be our last one. Go here. Doop, doop. Pull in music. Good. We're gonna do it because like sometimes seeing these dumb ideas through is actually kind of worth. Dump that, keep that open. Let's just rip all the Ferrari footage real quick. This is so dumb, but I think it's actually gonna be good, so I hate it. A little bit. This needs to have like a really snappy zoom to it. It's gonna be really cool or really dumb. I might really like this. I don't really do edits like this ever. So it's like, it's kind of fun to do stuff like this. Let's not dox him. That, nah. Ooh, there we go. Oh wait, actually I want the something like a side moment. There to there. Dump, and then nice. Something like that. No idea if they're gonna like this or not, but I think it falls in the category of like what we want to do. Of just like it's fun, it's energetic, it's like of the moment. It's such a good song for this too. I don't know, and I found that if I'm having fun with the edit, usually the client's gonna like it. Alright, let's go to Ferrari. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah, this one. Which I think we need to rip from this. Fast no think. da, 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 da.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Get it how you live it.
I don't. It's fast no think. Fast no think. Oh, not that one.
Been chosen when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper. Underground methods. Top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. Straight. Yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then I think we fake it, right?
Yeah, wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper, underground method. Wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a
There's a better shot we can do here. Drone. No, exterior car. That's what it is. It's tough because we're working with vertical. So like we're losing a lot of information on the left and right side. Which we're okay with. Wait, I know what we're doing. Give me the walkout again. Give me that. Put that here. That goes here. This has to change.
get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a
Boom.
on business. I'm a big stepper. Underground methods. Top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser.
They might hate it, and I think I'm okay with that. Then we just go back to another interior shot of car.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Get it how you live it. 10 toes.
It's not a great shot. Like, vertically. This is kind of like a struggle bus moment here. So we already showcased something like that here. Dump it. I don't think it's great. Hey, welcome back. Gonna be lurking and working here. Sounds good, man. Yeah, it was like the holidays, and then I was gone for like a week and a half because we have a new condo, and I had to redo the flooring for that, and that was an endeavor. It's like way. I knew it was going to be more than I thought it was going to be, but woofta, man, it was an endeavor to kind of get all that done. Yeah, so that, then I had to catch up with work, and now
Wait a minute.
we are back editing, which is nice. Back editing, back streaming, keeping that consistent schedule
Wait
up.
a minute. Get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper. Underground methods. Top-notch hoes get the most, not the lesser.
Ridiculous edit, but I like it. I think it's gonna be fun. We'll see what the client thinks. But it's always good to throw something like this their way, because you never know if they're gonna like it, and if they do like it and then it hits on like social, then we're cooking, then we're cruising. Done. 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 Now the question is, are there any other sections that we want to?
There's land on the golf course. It was like a premium on the golf course. It was like a premium.
That's weird.
There's different ways that we can sort of organize a project on a...
Adds to the interest of the project when
It's almost
Maybe there's like, I think citing the home actually could be a good moment to pull from as well. That could be our 004 citing the home. And then just delete this stuff. Dump it.
Some of our projects, more conventional, would be what we'd call a singular map.
That, and then just delete all of this fluff. So citing the home. And I think that's all we can kind of pull from for like just taking excerpts from the actual full video.
All of our work working on custom luxury homes like this, and really all of our projects, you know, we start with two things, the client and the site. We like to talk about all of our work is very client specific, but also it's very site specific about a site. And it's really the raw clay that like the sculptor gets to use to create a work of art. And that's really where the base and the foundation of the design is.
That kind of cooks. I think that kind of rolls into citing the home though. Oh, that's its own individual thing. I think you maybe just cut out this.
having topography on a site adds to the interest of the
Something that we started calling the float. On this project here at Hidden Lakes, we engaged with something that we started calling the float.
And then that becomes an intro instead of talking about the
And
different...
the stars sort of aligned that it was, you know, our chance to sort
Art, public-private, entry, bathroom blinds, materials, maybe?
As it is with a lot of modern architecture, the exterior and interior materials are linked. We see a lot of thoughtfulness go into our design to look at ways of bringing the materials in from the outside and really creating a seamless expression, a seamless transition from the interior to the exterior. That sort of permeates through the whole project and makes the architecture really easy to understand. It just creates a lot of drama within the architecture that's really beautiful.
There's maybe some material moment, I don't know. I think we put that on the back burner for now, and then instead we start doing like just the music stuff. So, yo, sighting. Can I spell? Sighting. It's like sitting. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm not spelling something wrong. So do nighttime. Exterior drone shot. Cantilever space. Trying to think of like some of these like major key moments for us to feature. And I can be, I don't want to do a single shot moment and then another single shot moment and have the fun moment. It's 10 socials, right, that I have to make? I'm gonna double check this before I get too deep. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. My IG Live froze. I think the IG Live freezes because modern residence video editing. I think they only want you going, I bet I'm like close to 2 hours here. And yeah, 145. And I think they just kind of kick you off after that amount of time. And so like it was freezing on like my end. I don't know if it like freezes everywhere, but it's enough to where I'm just like dump it, come back. Okay, it's back up. It's kind of annoying. Like, let me stream on your platform, and like TikTok's gone, so like there goes that. I mean, in a way, it's kind of nice because you have one less platform for me to focus on.
By the time you're done, I mean, look at this. You know, it's a immensely rewarding experience. A modern expression.
Yeah. There's maybe some more stuff we could do. I think this gives us a good chunk of stuff to work with.
Some of our projects, more conventional, would be what we'd call a singular mass, axial, or is very client specific. All of our work is very client specific, but also it's very site specific.
Having topography on a site.
Yeah, I think we go with that as our intro for this.
All of our work is very client specific, but also it's very site specific about a site. And it's really the raw clay that like the small. All of our work is very client specific, but also it's very site specific. And it's really the raw clay that like the sculptor gets to use
I think we've done all this
to
stuff.
create a work of art. And that
Dun, 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 dun.
raw clay that like the sculptor gets to use. All of our work is very client specific, but also
It's like a
it's
little
very
too
site
loud.
specific. And it's really the raw clay that like the sculptor gets to use to create a work of art. Create a work. Create a work of
Right?
gets to use to create.
No, I was wrong. There.
A sculptor gets to use to create a work of art.
Cooking. Yeah, just like I don't know. As much as the TikTok stuff sucks that it's gone, because it's like I think it's a pretty powerful platform in the sense of discoverability.
All of our
It's one less thing for me to focus on, which is nice because like that's 2025 as a creator, you need to be able to be on all these platforms. Just a little bit easier for me now. Maybe we go here. Go. There's a lot of drone stuff we haven't used. I think we can start pulling from as well. Like this isn't bad. I just like my issue with a lot of these shots is like the roof is always way too much. Like having a majority of the home. That's kind of spicy. But that's roofless enough. But we have to take a sliver, so we're not. This is tough.
site specific.
Just kind of like a weird angle.
And it's really the
Then without that tree in the foreground, I feel like it doesn't, like it's not doing, like if we're just taking this like right half, it's just not doing it for me. This is kind of good, right? Like there, and it.
And it's really the raw clay that like the sculptor gets to use to create a work of art.
Having topography. a site adds to the interest of the project when the topography dips down.
Exterior shots we have over here. Oh, I love these shots. Why haven't I used them?
You have an opportunity to maybe extend part of the home. You have an opportunity to maybe extend part of the home out.
I dump that. Come back here. Reverse it. Not this time. Right foot left stop.
Specific.
Left foot left stop.
And it's really the raw clay that like the sculptor gets to use to create a work of art.
Having topography on a site adds to the interest of the project when the topography dips down.
Shots. I'm gonna do more on the ground shots over at these shoots because like the drone is nice, but it's like I want to be able to capture some of these like more bespoke moments. Well, that's kind of nice, but then it's like we're transitioning to nighttime, and so we gotta have a bunch of nighttime shots to follow it. Don't want to commit to that just yet. It's all exterior. What do we have in the drone department? Like I think this could actually work. It's really cool. We got like the steam rolling off of. I mean, it's the benefit of, you know, I don't know. I've been very, very cognizant of, you know, as of late, to make sure that I'm not overextending myself on these shoots.
You have an
So that I can have like it's like shoots are a marathon, not a sprint. So like you're gonna have moments where like the tempo kind of picks up, especially in the end half, or like that twilight moment where you get, depending on where the house is situated, like specifically here, the sunset, you get like a really, really good light, and then it kind of dips behind the trees, and then once that twilight hits, where we're dealing with like this time of day, that kind of looks like poop. The C70 looks way better. Like this time of day, you have maybe 10 to 15 minutes where you need to be like running around and capturing, like we're trying to capture, like we know our shots that we're going to get, we pre-scouted out, and then once that time of day hits, we're running around making sure we're grabbing those shots because we have a 10-15 minute window to get this in this type of lighting. Because then after that, like the sky turns completely black, and then it gets like way too dark, and then you don't have any information on the exterior, and you can only see the interior, and it just doesn't look good. Like this is the perfect time of day for shooting. And like even at the end here, you can start to see like things are getting super duper dark. So like there's moments where you're going to be sprinting, where there's going to be a lot for you to do, but it's a marathon, right? Like we're going all day. I'm carrying like a 10-15 pound camera, and I've been trying to be very cognizant about the timing of everything. Because there were shoots in the past where I would go sun up to sundown, and you do that for days, and then you go to another shoot, you do that again, like you start to get really worn down, and then by the end of like that second shoot or the third shoot that you got to do, like you're completely exhausted mentally, physically, and you're not doing like your best creative work. And so like as of late, I've been trying to make sure that we're being selective about when we're shooting a project. So when's the best lighting? The best lighting is in the morning, so let's make sure we get sunrise shoots, and then we're going to end at 5. We're not going to shoot sunset as much as we want to, as we're not going to do it. Like maybe we're going to have one day where we show up early, go to the end, like a full day. But if we have multiple days of a shoot, it's we got to be selective in terms of like what and when we're shooting, because if we don't, then it's a lot, because I need to be able to go to another shoot and do the same thing. And like that's you're just getting perspective talking with other photographers who do this, like
Now, and you have an
they're someone put in perspective of me of like this is my job, right? My job is to like shoot and edit, and for architects or the people I go shoot for, like it's an event. They're not on a photo shoot every day, they're not on a video shoot every day, they're not in this every day, they're doing the design work. And so this is like a fun break or like a very different thing. And so like when stuff like this happens, I think there's a tendency for people to want to push it as far as they can, and not in like a malicious way, but just in like we want to make sure we can maximize this moment because we're so excited. And there just needs to be a more communication going on in terms of just like, yeah, like this is super exciting, this is really great, but I need to be a functional human being at the end of all this. So we can't sit here and do a 14-hour day, especially in the summer, right? Like sunrise we're waking up at like 3-4 a.m. to shoot sunrise, sunsets at 9, and so so that's 15-hour days, and then we're not getting you bed till like 10-11, and then we gotta wake up and do it again the next day. Like that's not feasible, like that's not possible.
Now, and you have an opportunity to maybe extend part of the home out. Opportunity to maybe extend part of the home out.
So that's something I've been trying to get a lot better at as of late, is just making sure that we're being selective about like when we shoot, and then just like making sure I try to like stick with that, because it's super duper easy for you to kind of get caught up in it and like do it. And I think we're not like sticklers about it. Like if we're kind of cooking and the light's really good and we're uncertain about the light tomorrow, like hey, like let's keep going, and then tomorrow we'll start later, or tomorrow we'll end early. And then I don't know, and then like you get the other side of perspective where like I have photographers who are like, yeah, I kind of owe like everything I am to these people, for like to these clients. So yeah, I'm gonna send it, I'm gonna give it my all and send it to them, and I'm like, okay, like that also kind of makes sense too. So, and I think like most things I kind of end somewhere in the middle, where like if we can push it and we know we can push it, let's do it. And then but also make sure that if we're just coming off our third 14-hour day, like hey, we're gonna take it easy, because we've kind of given you, if you think about it, right, a full day shoots 8 hours, and if we do a 14-hour day, that's 2 days of shooting. That's 2 days worth of shooting that you're giving them. So it's a tough balance. It's tough, you know, and it's kind of up to you to be the person who sets the expectations and like is communicating, you know, like, oh, I don't want to ruffle feathers. Like me being from the Midwest, like we're very passive.
And part of the home out.
It's almost as though Eric designed the home to build into the
Maybe we do like this shot.
It's almost as though Eric designed the home to build into the
Oh, and then we do the walking down the hallway shot as a follow-up. Bink.
trees.
And pan.
Trees.
Oh, that's at. Okay, so for these, more curated moments, right? Like if we're just doing music or we're just doing footage, our music kind of has to be on point. So we're gonna pull this up. Really have footage wise here. I don't like that either. Hello, cello? I don't think cello is the vibe we want. It's a little too dramatic here. Delicate, maybe? Because it doesn't need to be. Chill acoustic? I don't think we want acoustic though. Campfire. This is the vibe. Okay, maybe not. A little too folky. Little too much.
When the fire burns out.
They're really doing it for me. That's it. All right, there's one. Find a collection here.
We got no more walking in shame head.
This guy cooks. Got really good music. I know what we're doing. Maybe we want it to be dramatic. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's what, 1, 2, 3? That should be a good start. But picked up. Okay, I am gonna grab some food. I will be back.
What was here needed a little work, and ultimately more work than we anticipated. But on the drawing board, it looks simple, but it was a lengthy process.
Finding a home on the golf course that's the right size is one thing, but there's a lot to fill in between just certain sort of like boxes to check and making something that you love. We were there to kind of help create a home. There's something about this house that just has a vocabulary that's a little different than any other home in the area. It's not like it's super mid-century, it's not like it's super traditional. It's kind of straddling this cool vibe.
The house does have good bones, even though it had a family room that was shaped as a triangle, fountain and the tree stumps.
It was unique, an interesting house that was going to be neat to fix up.
Once we got things sort of in a direction, we early on like to build the team on all of our projects. And that means the landscape architect primarily, a contractor, and an interior designer.
We were invited to be involved in some of the early design meetings when things were really not quite established. It was a great opportunity for our team to be able to bring materials in and sort of show clients fabrics and different options and textures and woods and stone.
So these two things were constantly growing together in a parallel path. You're really being able to be inspired by maybe something that Sarah's doing that might inspire the client to tell us. You know, we're all kind of working on the same path at the same time period.
As far as furniture and design choices, we came from a very traditional home. I said to Chris, if we're going to move, since it's more of a contemporary modern home, I'd like the furnishings to reflect that.
Chris really has a tendency to love more of a traditional aesthetic. So he brought a lot of inspiration with furniture pieces with rolled arms and things that leaned a lot more traditional.
When you start to use words like modern, it can be really off-putting to certain people because they have certain connotations. When Chris started to see that we weren't taking this to some level that was foreign to him, it was just sort of like a little edited, but it still had shadows, it still had divided windows, it still had, scale, and, all the things that made him feel comfortable with more traditional, he could still have, even if it was edited down a little bit. I just believe when you're really, truly trying to find the right solution for that particular person, it's rich because because it's not easy. And when it was derived out of true interest to be that home for somebody else, there's a feeling about that when you walk in, that's that person's home. You were there to create it and make it feel resolved, but it was really kind of like you helping discover what they wanted their home to be.
Perfect timing. To eat. A review.
Both Ryan and I said over and over again to our team, let's build something special. We did not want ordinary. We wanted something that was extraordinary.
It was the right site, the right client, and the stars sort of aligned that it was, our chance to sort of execute a really architecturally significant response to a house, to what a home can be.
Ryan and I had been thinking that building would really be fun and really be something we'd like to do, but we didn't want to have to go outside of the city a long ways to find a site. So when this particular property came up, which sits on almost 3 acres of land on the golf course, it was like a premium opportunity.
They're on the course a lot. They have a lot of friends and social connections with people on the course. So really it was a lot about seeing the course, but also sort of being seen. And there's different ways that we can sort of organize a project on a site. Some of our projects, more conventional, would be what we'd call a singular mass, axial, or a pod strategy. On this project here at Hidden Lakes, we engaged with something that we started calling the float.
Having topography on a site adds to the interest of the projects. When the topography dips down, you have an opportunity to maybe extend part of the home out.
It's almost as though Eric designed the home to build into the trees.
The challenge of seeing out and being seen can be tricky because there's some areas of the home that you don't always want to be seen in.
The home is designed with a public to private gradient as we move from the golf course to the east all the way to the primary suite to the west.
Working through solutions is something that you just do as an architect. We have these preconceived notions of what will make the home really beautiful, but sometimes when you get on the site, it doesn't always work out just the way that you're imagining.
When we started working on the project, it was more summertime, and there was a pretty good wall of foliage. And a little bit of time went on, we moved into fall and winter. We were back out on the site, and we noted how much more of the neighboring house we could see over there once the leaves were in. So we developed sort of this Venetian blind sort of effect with these 12-inch deep aluminum fins. Provides all the privacy we need to the northwest from the neighbor, but still letting tons of natural light.
We always ask our clients what their hobbies are and what they love to do, because really this home is about them, and we love to cater to their lifestyle and who they are.
I have a passion for sports cars, always have, and have been successful enough to collect a couple, 2, 3 of the sweetest sports cars, and wanted enough to collect a couple, 2, 3 of the sweetest sports cars, and wanted a place to showcase them.
The concept, the idea that these cars really are works of art that really should be admired and displayed and not sort of tucked away in a garage, like a utilitarian sort of garage. So we spent quite a bit of time developing what would be the correct ambiance, how do we light these things, how do we display them.
You know, designing and building is creative, it's problem solving. You want to take the path that captures the greatest amount of drama and functionality out of the choices that you have. And to get there, you need to have good dialogue, and you need to have trust. And we had, and still do, have great trust in the pros that we worked with.
Bam. I'm really happy with how the whole thing turned out. Okay. Back to our social edits. So, with most videos, like a client's gonna kind of hire us to do like the big video, which is kind of like what you see here, and you know this one's like 5 minutes. They kind of range from like 3 to 6 minutes is usually where they kind of sit. But most architects, how they interface with like publicly with most people is going to be through social media to like some degree. Either you're going to be on Instagram, you're going to be on LinkedIn or Facebook or somewhere, and while you can upload this 5.5 minute video to social media, it's not going to do that well, just because like when people go to these platforms, they're not, the attention span isn't quite there for them to kind of sit through something like this. So what we want to go through is kind of piece out social media specific and curate like social media specific content for this project, for this video. And so we kind of split it up in 2 different directions. There's like a few lines of thinking to go through it. So one of them is pulling out very specific categories or specific subjects within the full video for us to kind of dial into. So like one of them being the car salon. I'm just kind of like talking about the design of it, how it came to be, talking about like the public to private gradient within the home. That's its own video, and it's all right curated by it's like vertically curated, so it's 9:16, so you can just throw it onto Instagram and it's gonna do much better, right? These videos are shorter, they're much more to the point. And then the second category we move to is just music and footage. So one of them we're going to put together is nighttime, where it's just all like the really nice twilight shots that we have, just a ton, and kind of piece something together there. Showcasing just the cantilever space. I think both exterior and interior, because like it's such a dramatic moment and defining feature for us to kind of like sink our teeth into. And then there's a couple like single shots that we're gonna put together. Like we have a few that are probably like 20 to 30 seconds long, and I think you just throw like a little bit of ambience in there, and I think it just becomes like a really nice post. So that gives us a pretty good variety in terms of social media. And then depending on where the client is at in terms of their own personal branding and how kind of bold that they want to get with it, we can pull together something that's a little bit more spicy, right? You have a much more trending sound. The cuts are way quicker. So something like that. Right? It may love it, may not. But that kind of gives us a good variety to like showcase them. And it's like, so why we do this is like attention spans are not that long on social media. And so by having these much more cut down and curated videos that we can post onto social, not only will this hopefully drive more traffic to the full video so that people watch, but you're also getting a ton of value from the video in general, because like posting it on Instagram, more people are going to see it than, you know, if you just have it up on your website. So more often than not, when we do a video like this, like a full 3 to 5 minute one that's all fleshed out, we usually more often than not are going to have a social media kind of chunk to kind of pair with it, so that all this can kind of get rolled out at the same time. The video just does better. That's where we're at. That. So we're just gonna find specific music for each of these moments. One. This I think this was the drone. Depends on how dramatic we want to get with it. I think it's a bit much. It's almost a little too classical. I like the beginning part, but I don't know if the rest of it kind of hits what we want it to hit. This is the drone. Oh. That's our cantilever space one. And single shots, I think that's going to be more just like sound design. I think that's where it kind of goes. Looking great, Brody. Thank you. Thank you. Wrapping up all the social media stuff for you guys.
All of our work is very
Nighttime. Dump that. Dump dump it. And just gotta find good nighttime exteriors. For all the edited ones. Spicy one to start with, maybe. There. Over. Uh, uh, this one a lot, but I think it's a really good shot. Drone shot. It's tough because like the drone's sensor at night is not the best in the world. But dog is currently laying at my feet. Like the drone's night sensor is not the best in the world, and is arguably the biggest downside of it is you don't get the minute it starts to get darker, like you really lose a lot of kind of quality. So we're almost like exclusively having to shoot with the C70 when it becomes like nighttime, because like there's only so much that you can kind of like pull from. From like this information, and it's not like terrible, but if like your lighting isn't perfect, it just doesn't work that great. Position. Too fast. Do you want a simple better? I don't like any of those. That's not bad. feel like this being a little shorter. I think that flows better. I just like these shots I think are nicer. It's mainly just like the vertical crop that you have to deal with. It's making this a little bit tough. Try to like narrow it down to the best of the best. That's almost far enough away where that works, maybe? Test it. Maybe it's okay to send this one out at the end, no? Okay. So we're just trying to get like foundationally everything that we need in. So quiet, goodness gracious. Feel louder. There, like you don't want it to drone on for like way too long where like nothing happens. Because like again, it's social media. You got to be able to kind of like have that hook at the intro. Up there. I think we press it down for real. Kitchen shot. And I think we like have to send it, you know, we have to swing for the fences on that first shot because it's so important for like people to actually like stay and watch the video. Like we can't sit here and pull our punches for a while. Walkie. I said that word. My dog's right here. Okay. I want these to just be like. Do we want to look out here? Is the question. I barely think so. Part of me is actually thinking that setup shot here. Yeah. And then instead of going there to there, let's go here. There. I think this whole thing needs to be zoomed out. IMO. I think it's just gonna be better. Like the thing, like you, like to some degree, you kind of want to fill the entire screen, which is tough because we only shoot horizontal, like this. But when a shot or when a space looks this good, and we're kind of going for a little bit of a moodier vibe, I think we embrace. Just kind of getting a little bit more information in here. We do your shot that we actually like. That's like that. Me. Yeah. Such a tough project to shoot because we were like you're really backed up into like a corner because of the there's like a whole bunch of trees right back here, so you have such a limited amount of space, and like luckily confident enough where I can maneuver the drone, but it's like can't go super far back because you're in the trees, and if you're in the trees too much, then you can't see through them to the actual piece of architecture. So that's why all the shots from this side are just such a difficult angle to nail. Let me go wide to shit.
When the
coloring off. Right, like, because I can't go any further back than where I am with this shot, and so that's where the benefit of video kind of comes in, because we get to do a little bit more. Because like instead of just sitting here and trying to like, okay, like how do we show everything in one shot? Like, okay, we get to move from left to right, we get to move into out, and we get to splice all these different shots together so that we start to get an idea and a sense of how this home kind of works or ties together. Swimming now? And drop it down. Cool. Yay. Exterior drone's gonna be tough because I think it looks better horizontal. How do we tweak these spaces to work like that? Or do we just do what we did before and embrace the kind of zoom out moment? Because I think it being really vertical is releasing so much information. I will be right back.
What was here needed a little work, and ultimately more work than we anticipated. But on the drawing board it looks simple, but it was a lengthy process.
Finding a home on the golf course that's the right size is one thing, but there's a lot to fill in between just certain sort of like boxes to check and making something that you love. We were there to kind of help create a home. There's something about this house that just has a vocabulary that's a little different than any other home in the area. It's not like it's super mid-century, it's not like it's super traditional. It's kind of straddling this cool vibe.
The house does have good bones, even though it had a family room that was shaped as a triangle, fountain and the tree stumps.
It was unique. Interesting house that was going to be neat to fix up.
Once we got things sort of in a direction, we early on like to build the team on all of our projects. And that means the landscape architect primarily, a contractor, and an interior designer.
We were invited to be involved in some of the early design meetings when things were really not quite established. It was a great opportunity for our team to be able to bring materials in and sort of show clients fabrics and different options and textures and woods and stone.
So these two things were constantly growing together in a parallel path. You're really being able to be inspired by maybe something that Sarah's doing that might inspire the client to tell us. We're all kind of working on the same path at the same time period.
As far as furniture and design choices, we came from a very traditional home. I said to Chris, if we're going to move, since it's more of a contemporary modern home, I'd like the furnishings to reflect that.
Chris really has a tendency to love more of a traditional aesthetic. So he brought a lot of inspiration with furniture pieces with rolled arms and things that leaned a lot more traditional.
When you start to use words like modern, it can be really off-putting to certain people.
Want to come up? Oh, he sees the food. You see the head? There he is. Certified good boy. No, the food up there is not for you, bud. No. You can have some snackies later, okay? Certified good boy in the chat. Okay, again. Got it. My Instagram shut down. I don't know if it's still going. Can I see if myself is live? No. So I'm assuming it's dead. F. We've right on the 1 hour mark again too. I don't know why it does this. Is it Control Shift N incognito mode? Because I need to check if cursed Instagram. It's not. It is, in fact, an F in the chat. Don't know why. It's killed, isn't it? Yep. I just got a call. Instagram Live is kill. Modern. Home film. Editing. Public. Next. It's so annoying. Because like that's unfortunately where like most of the cruise-ship fleet is coming from right now. There we go. We're back. We're back. Probably gonna a little bit more, and then I think we might call it so that we can just kind of cruise and get some of this edit stuff done. Then we also have taxes to do. Worst part about being a business owner is in fact having to do taxes. I have a CPA, which helps a ton. It's still not fun though, because it's still just like you have to track and hunt down like a whole bunch of stuff from the year, which I admittedly should probably do a better job of like just keeping track of during the year and categorizing stuff, but that's tough. It's still worth for running a business though, I think. Because I think if I had known all of the things that go into running a business when I started this, I don't think I would have done it. I think it's so much and it's kind of like an information overload, especially in the beginning, that I think it's super easy to just like not want to partake or do anything about. Because like you gotta own like an LLC or a sole proprietorship and an S corp, and it's like, what's the difference between all those things? And I don't know. All I know is I'm a W-2 employee of my business, and then you gotta open your like business bank account. You gotta like put in a thing for like your naming rights and like what does your accounting system look like? Like I was originally just sending like invoices PDF wise, just building them custom in Illustrator and then printing the PDF and everything, and it's was a bitch. But I think my naivety worked to my benefit in that sense, where not knowing much of anything was beneficial in the start, and then you just kind of like pick it up and figure out things as you go along, which I think is probably true for like most professions, right? Like you get like a base knowledge of like the things you need to do, and then after that just kind of start to pick it up as needed, right? Like I'm still learning stuff about like even the technicals of like my business, where it's the not my business, but like color grading and like sound design and like more best practices as you learn, and like as you do this stuff, and then as you learn from different photographers, videographers, filmmakers, and even architects, like you just start to learn and pick up and like, oh, there's probably a better, more efficient way to do this. Like when I shot, I used to shoot like a ton of footage, because that's kind of the background that I came from, where I shot for the School of Architecture and Design at Milwaukee, and our whole, I think, kind of philosophy with that was, I was their first videographer, by the way, first hired videographer, or I guess like full-time videographer for them. But the whole just kind of thought process with all that was, you're gonna shoot as much as humanly possible. So there was like the building, and then within that you had studios, which was basically a place where everyone kind of like comes to work. Dude, this is like impossible to describe. Architecture school studio. This. It was this. It was just like, no, give me right there. It's just like a giant workspace that becomes a mess, where everyone does their work and stuff. And we had a good handful of them across like the whole school, and my whole job, and all of them were working on like different stuff. Some people were doing like, we're doing community center, we're doing design studies, and I would have to go and shoot and get B-roll footage in all these different spaces of people working on all these different projects. And it was very much like a shotgun approach, where we're going to shoot as much as humanly possible, because we don't 100% know what we want to do with all this footage. I had kind of an idea. This one's better. And so when I started getting into this professionally, that's when I started to I kind of realized I brought that same philosophy, that shooting philosophy, over, where we're going to shoot as much as possible, as much as we can, and we're going fast. And it worked for a time, I think. And then it got to a point where I realized I need to slow down and take my time. I need to curate my shots. I think that's the biggest thing, is like taking your time to make sure that the shots are what you want, and are they good, and are we missing any small details? And then it slowly started to kind of evolve into where it is now, where we're actually putting together like shot lists for all the shoots that were going on, and we're getting a pretty rough idea of what we want the final video to look like when we start shooting, before we're shooting. And so that's cut down on a lot of like the slop I shoot, where there was like projects I had shot in the beginning when I was starting out, where like there's a lot of it was just garbage, and then there's like a very small percentage of it that I thought was, good, or like workable, usable. But now we're on the other side of that now, where damn near everything we're shooting is actually like really good, and like not all of it's gonna make it into the final video. So where do you kind of cut? What do you cut out? What do you implement? But then that's kind of like the fun benefit of getting to do the social media stuff is we get to take all the footage that we didn't get to showcase in the full video, and we get to put it to like feature it in some way, shape, or form with the social content, which I think is super worthwhile, because it's still getting out. And then, you know, the way that we try to think about this stuff is evergreen. So I want the client to be able to kind of come back to this footage and video in 5 years, and we can just do a refresh run where we put new music onto it, edit it a different way, and then I showcase the front of the house. I feel like we haven't done that yet. And then they get to use it again, and it doesn't feel dated, it doesn't feel out of place, like it feels good. Because like these, you know, because you'll look at like the Chiefs ad, State Farm ads, right, that's running right now. It's very season specific, so they're going to run that for like the entire football season, and then once the football season's over, then it's kind of like it's Jober. Like, we're not repurposing that footage or those commercials again. Like, occasionally you'll have like the Geico commercial guy come back, right? That was a thing. But for the most part, like, those commercials were run for a time and then they're gone, right? It's done. Whereas with architecture, you kind of get a good amount of time to market these projects, because if, you know, most of them are designed so well that like we can pull this project in 2030 and it's still going to look like it was made today. It's going to, or this footage, it's still going to look like it was made today. So like how we shoot our footage and how we kind of create our edits kind of have to follow that. We're like, we can't use super trendy sound for like every single piece of every video we put together. Otherwise it's just otherwise it gets dated super quick, right? Like we'll do 1 or 2 of those, but like those 1 or 2 can last for like a month, and then all of a sudden they kind of lose their pizzazz. Whereas with this, if we can find a music that's a little like timeless, not super trendy, and it can, and the project itself is timeless, like these kind of get to exist for a while and still have value. I don't know, there's a lot of like philosophy stuff I think about with like the shooting, how we're shooting, like what does this stuff mean, what does that mean. You know, there was one shoot we did where it was this train station, and it was like cast concrete, like a retaining wall that was like cast concrete. It was super, had like a lot of texture and shape to it. It was really cool. And they had uplighting onto it, so it kind of like exaggerated that that texture. And we couldn't control the lighting. The shoot that we went to, it was also like raining like the whole time, but we couldn't control or change the lighting. So what we ended up having was like it was like Pride Month, so like it was just rainbow the whole time. And then one of the architects brought their sons out, and like they were walking. I'm like, yeah, it's a really cool shot. And then, you know, I'm always thinking probably a little too much about like, I'm like, are people gonna watch this and think that there's like agenda being pushed and like all this stuff? And I'm like, probably. And then like I brought it up to like the architects too, and they're like, yeah, that's a good point. We should probably just, you know, I think. And we ended up going back out because it was raining too, but we had 2 days of shooting booked. But we ended up going back out when we could control the lights, and it got a much better shot of everything going on. Yeah, that's the stuff we're thinking about with all this. It's like, is there a deeper meaning that people are going to derive out of this, good, bad, or ugly? And how can we make it, I think, positive for the most part? do that. It's just like it's too much roof. Here. Side. Okay. Yeah, be going to that. Then we do the pullback. Should be around the beginning. Yeah, by the time we're done with this, it's like I'm gonna have spent like so much time on this where it's like the music I used in like all these videos I'll never be able to use again. Not from like a or it's gonna like copy them standpoint of just mainly from like a I've listened to these tracks so many times that I can't listen to it anymore. It's like it got to a point where we were editing like a second video I had done with a client, like our second video together, and he was like, "Oh, what about like this music?" And I'm like, "We use that for this video." He's like, "What about that music?" And it was like the social media content that we had created. I'm like, "We use that for this video." He's like, "How do you know all this?" I'm just like, "Cause we're sitting here listening to the same 10 seconds over and over and over again." Like it's to a point now where like I know all the beats, all the cue-ins, almost all the words to like our full video we put together. Okay, feel good about that. Killer's done, nighttime done. Just find our single shots. And then everything will be placed, and then all we have to do is go in and color grade, and it's good to go. These are hit or miss. I mean, like it's just like the big thing is like we're just trying to find a good chunk of variety for our clients to kind of have at their disposal for this, because like I've had single shot videos do really, really well. I've also had them do really bad. I've had the narrative videos do incredibly, like social media like metrics like do really well. Some of the narratives do bad, and so if we can kind of give them a good variety of stuff to kind of pick and pull from and to put out there, I think it's beneficial. One thing that's kind of sucks is that it feels like no one has ever used all of what we put out. Like very few clients I think have used like all of what we put out there.
We always ask our clients,
That's like a maybe. I like this one because you get like the smoke coming up. And that it's tough because it's most houses are very horizontal, unless like, oh, you know, like a skyscraper would go pretty hard. So even this, I think go here, here, and just have it pan more aggressively. This is why, like, I think there's like an auto reformat video or auto reformat like AI tool where like it'll take your video and it'll like do like a vertical crop to it, but I'm like, this stuff is so, how do you vertically crop this? Like it like it's not gonna know what to track or where to track, so it's more often just way easier for me to just do it by hand. Side, want a car side one per chance. Yeah. This one's nice, but it's like it's so horizontal in this shot that it doesn't quite work. I feel like sending that's actually maybe not a bad idea. Go there. I like kind of like that route. Yeah, I like that. There. Bam. Okay, so we have all of our pieces are in place. I'm gonna go finish my food, and my dog has been incredibly dramatic doing all this. So hopefully y'all enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. We were gonna stream yesterday, but my wife had like a surgery thing that had to be the escort, the driver for. So I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is kind of a good thing. In the morning half is nice, gets us going, kind of dials into the actual work. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy it, and peace.
What was here needed a little work, and you know, ultimately more work than we anticipated. But you know, on the drawing board it looks simple, but it was a lengthy process.
Finding a home on the golf course that's the right size is one